So this is the end of life deck, and the card that has come up for me in the end of life deck is about becoming fearless. And it says, share a fear you have about death and dying. Maybe by discussing it, we can alleviate some of its intensity. And again, this card really resonates with me, and it resonates with me around the death and dying journey that I took with my dad, but also the journey that I walked alongside with my mother-in-law, so my partner's mother, who is grandmother to my children. And both my dad and my mother-in-law were diagnosed with cancer. My dad was diagnosed with lung cancer, and his cancer journey was quite long. His end of life journey was over months, whereas for my mother-in-law, she was diagnosed with neurological brain cancer, and it was very, very sudden, and her end of life was very different and super challenging in a different way from what I experienced with my dad, which had been 20 years earlier. So, I mean, for me, share a fear that I have about death and dying. One of the things I wished my dad had access to was the right to die with dignity, which is new legislation. And I know that there's a lot of advocates who fought really, really hard to get that legislation in place. And I experienced similar with my mother-in-law, where I know with great sadness that she would not have admired her end of life, and she wouldn't have wished it for herself. So for me, I worry about being in a situation where I don't have access to dignity at end of life. And I understand that the legislation that's been put in place here in Victoria is incredible. It's amazing, and really, really, really important for people to have that option. I would love to see it be less complicated, and for more people to understand what it is, and also how empowering it can be for people just to know that it exists, that they have access to the right to choose their own death, especially with long illnesses and where somebody knows that they are terminally ill, and they can plan the manner that they pass. As a human being, I want to be able to pass well, and I don't, passing well means different things to different people, but for me, it would be to not get to an end of life where I no longer had any quality left in my journey, where my death would be a journey of trauma for those around me. My experience has been that a long end of life journey with no access to euthanasia or voluntary assisted dying is exhausting for the people that surround that individual. It is traumatic, and I'd like to be able to avoid that for the people that I love. So if I ever found myself in a situation where I had access to choose, then I want it. And I want to be able to do it when I'm in a position to have those conversations with my loved ones, to say the proper goodbyes, to say the things that are really incredibly important to me, but also to give my loved ones the capacity to express themselves, or to ask the questions that they want to ask of me, or express their feelings or their emotions or their thoughts, or just even share stories and share knowledge, and share love. All of those things to me are important, and I worry, like my fear is that I won't get that opportunity if the manner of my death is such that my family don't get closure, or it causes ongoing harm and trauma to them, then that's a big fear, and it's something, it was different with my dad. When my dad passed away, it was a long journey, and we did get to have some conversations, but because he was being treated for his cancer, and there were a lot of drugs involved in that. Like there's a lot of pain medication, so having conversations was not necessarily the thing that we were able to do. But also, we were still the kind of culture and family where you don't talk about dying, and especially not with the person who is dying. Whereas for me, I think about it differently. I'm like, let's do this. Let's have this conversation. Let's not have me leave your life without the things said that we need to say. And that's, it was different with Mum, because my mum passed very quickly and unexpectedly. So there was a lot that was left unsaid, and that was left open, and that I look back and I really regret not having had those conversations with her and asked questions and told, tell your loved ones that you love them every day, every single day. If you can, do that, because if something happens and you don't see it coming, then as a baseline, everybody knows where the love is. Definitely. Yeah, that would be it.